Now, there's a shocking incident of human trafficking that has come to light. There were a set of 303 passengers, Indians, all of them, who were traveling from Dubai all the way to Nicaragua, which is a Central American country which is notorious for a stopover to allow for better pastures for a number of foreign nationals to then seek asylum in the United States of America. What the chartered flight from Dubai did was took a stopover in a small airport in France by the name of Valtry. Now, this is where the French authorities came into action. They suspected foul play and they detained all the 303 passengers from the chartered plane. Now, since then, it's been 4 days and finally these passengers have been returned to India. But a bitter lesson that needs to be learned from these people who would take any means possible, illegal or legal, to then fulfill their dreams of reaching and living in their dream destinations, to fulfill their dreams of a quote-unquote better life in West, whether it is America or Europe. In a situation such as this, how can checks and balances be put in place? Can the Indian authorities take strong action to ensure that such humiliation does not take place on foreign shores, to ensure this illegal human trafficking activities can be controlled and reduced to the bare minimum? And can there be cooperation that can be built across countries between India, France, the West, the rest of the world to ensure this illegal activity is checked? Let's start our conversation. Joining me on the telecast is Gautam Mukherjee. I start this conversation with you, Gautam. An unfortunate incident. This is not the first time that a human trafficking incident has taken place. There are a number of people across the length and breadth of the country who would give their arm and leg to then go and live in America, in Canada, in France, in UK, and there are several other parts of the West because they have this craze for a better life that they are seeking abroad, they are seeking in the West. And unfortunately, they fall into the trap of human trafficking and end up losing not just their hard-earned money, but also their dignity and respect. In a situation such as this, how should the Indian authorities deal with this issue that has been rampant in our country for a long time?
Wants to go on a flight to another country, even Nicaragua, there's precious little one can do to stop it unless there are people on the plane who are wanted or have some criminal antecedents and so on. So what has happened beautifully in this one is that it landed in France. The French authorities caught hold of it, turned it around, and sent it back to India. Now, if there is enough communication between countries, friendly countries such as France, then this kind of thing can be prevented by just turning it around. The fact that people lose money, their dignity, and so on, doesn't seem to deter them. They want to do this. They get in boats. They go overland through Eastern Europe. They try this on a quick basis on a plane. Why this is hard to say, because life is by no means easy in the West now. There was a time when the Indian economy was very small and opportunities were few and far between. So this kind of thing made more sense then. Why it's being done now is hard to say, but the only thing to do is enforcement, because persuasion is unlikely to work with these people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Joyita, what was your first response when you got to know about this news? This has been going on for the last 5-6 days, is what it has been in the news, and a shock for the entire country, for the citizens. But the situation is grim, and this is not the first instance. I remember one of this really famous Punjabi singers, and he had been caught in the act, and he was also part of this human trafficking scandal that had then erupted, with a number of hordes and hordes of Indians, particularly in the northern part of the belt in Punjab. They're all wanting to travel to Canada, and this singer I'm talking about is Daler Mehndi, and you know, a huge cache of passports had been found from him, and from his possession, while these incidents that get to be reported are far and few in between, the point is this is human trafficking is rampant in India.
Well, Megha, I have a problem with the term human trafficking. You know, trafficking is something when you are talking about people being taken somewhere by force, and you know, they are victims. Now, the people who have come back from France, they are not victims. You know, the only thing that you can, I mean, frankly, I would say this is a case of human smuggling. You know, where these people knowingly, you know, paid money and they were going there thinking as illegal migrants from Nicaragua, they are going to enter the US, you know, and become possibly janitors and sewer cleaners and all that. You know, that is the aim in their life. They have been told that, you know, it's such a fantastic life you will have. It's a different matter. They will have to cram inside one room apartment, 20 people together. They don't know the reality. So, the only thing that you can be sympathetic for them is the lack of brain cells. I am sorry, but I am not, you know, I have zero sympathies for such people who will, you know, impoverish their own people, who will possibly make their families sell their land, sell their ornaments, and then they will have to go abroad. And all of us have seen, you know, you go to France, in front of Louvre, you will see all these people who are selling water, who are selling bottled water. They are all illegal immigrants. All right, they all live in cramped conditions, in worse than third world conditions. They all live, and they think that they are doing, and they are having a great life over there. So the whole point of the is that, you know, when you are always, such rackets exist. But I agree with Gautam Mukherjee when he says that it is surprising that this is happening even now. You know, there has to be a mindset change. There has to be a mindset change at the ground level in India.
Okay.
Until that time, these things will not change. And as I said, this is not trafficking.
Okay. Sumit, quickly a word from you with regards to how there needs to be a sentiment that needs to be created amongst Indians, and particularly from a particular strata of the society. And like Joyita said, that there has to be a change in the mindset that India at this point of time is an emerging economy. It's a powerful economy, and there is no, I mean, the idea that there is no dearth of jobs over here, there is no dearth of ease of living over here, there is no dearth of food, and you will be able to live your livelihood, earn for your family, have easy options, to then deter them from traveling abroad. But the task is only half done, because when there are people who are dying, who are desperate to travel abroad because they want better life opportunities, because they want to send remittances back home by earning in dollars or in pounds, or in euros. So that's their number one interest. That's the number one attraction for them. We have created a sentiment such as this by the current government. How do we ensure that these opportunities and advantages and schemes and yojanas and projects actually reach to the ground level, to the last man standing?
Megha ji, thanks for having me on your show. I think the first step you are already doing is picking this topic up, and I'm sure a lot of media companies may not want to pick it up. It's not high news TRP, but this is an important social economic issue which we need to pick up and talk to the nation. The first and the most important thing is it has a two-pronged problem. The first thing is that we have to take it as a social and a political issue. The political leaders have to do their part. The social leaders have to do their part. Thought leaders have to do their part. भाई हमारे गांव में हमारे घर में बहुत रोटी है. मतलब रोटी के लिए वहां जाने की जरूरत नहीं. There is no need for growing. You are the fastest growing economy. You have the 800 million youth. You are number 4th in hydrocarbons. You are number 4th in space. Your rupee is going high. Your foreign exchange reserves are all time high. There is no dearth for dal roti where you need to go and live in a third world country, in a country so-called first world as a third world citizen, and as where you have no rights, where you have no liberties. This message has to be sent from media, from thought leaders, from leaders, and from politicians. Politicians, I'm repeating again and again, because we know there are few states where this is a very big and a perennial problem. Unless until the politicians address it, it is not going to handle there. That's point number one. Point number two is it's a two-way problem. Look, in America today, there are more illegal immigrants than the legal immigrants. America and some countries, they have these, these black gray areas where they let people because they want cheap labor. Germany lets in people because they want cheap labor. Whole of Europe lets in people. They have kept those windows open so that you come in here, you have no rights, so the cheap labor, we can get work out of you at our will. And one more problem which is there, what is this, how can this be a rule? What Vivek Swami rightly says, that if an illegal immigrant enters USA and he gives birth to a child, he becomes an American citizen. So as long as you have those fancy rules which are there, the people will keep on going. I have seen, in my experience traveling to United States, I have seen women, with due respect to everybody, in 8 months pregnancy, 7 months, as long as somebody will try their luck in 9 months to go there and give a birth to a child there, because he will get an American passport. Because you have to blame the other side also. They've kept those laws like this, hazy laws, so that people can come in. And the third point is, today if I look at the expats, we have how many? We have 35 million expats out of India. Today we have 7 million people who are working here. We have 35 million NRIs and we have 7 million expats who are working in India. And by 2030, the number will be more here than the people going out. And if you talk of the human trafficking or smuggling, Meghaji, it's 150 to $200 billion business. 25 million people, 80% are forced labor, 20% are sex slaves. This is how this industry runs, and they will always try to find people to go there unless and until we enforce it on all the level. And last point is that the government of India should make it very clear. If you are going in that kabutar bazi, what Diler Mehndi used to do it, we call it kabutar bazi. If you are becoming a kabutar of kabutar bazi, then when you come back to India, sorry, we are not responsible for you. Your rights are given. If you are jumping the law, if you are getting into a container, if you are getting on the top of a aircraft and trying to reach Canada or America, then you are responsible for your own fate. There is no fallback country like this, because you are violating the laws. Don't violate. Go legally.
All right. Rashmi, how do you view this situation? As Sumit said, that the country should disown these individuals, but is this a practical way to approach? Like I said, it's a particular strata of the society, usually from the lower income groups, that the people are fascinated to travel abroad, earn in dollars, earn in pounds and euros, and give money back, remit it back to their families. So can there be a more judicious, sensible, all-encompassing approach that can be taken by the government to ensure these trafficking situations are reduced?
Well, Megha, firstly, I think there's a sense of lack of awareness around this entire issue. This has been a big problem. This so-called, movement of people from Bharat to different countries without the right papers, with some sort of misguided expectation as well as to what is awaiting them there. I think that really needs to be addressed. We haven't really addressed the whole problem or the issue of life in the West. It has been glorified, it has been celebrated. In fact, it's been set as a standard of achievement. I think it's just not people from the lower income, backgrounds. Even people from higher income backgrounds, they do move abroad for their studies, and then they seek to settle there and to lead the rest of their lives there. It's just that people from the lower income backgrounds, they get trapped in very very, very uncomfortable situations and very, bad situations, to be fair. So I think that a general sense of awareness is required around this issue. We need to kind of lay down all the pros and cons. We need to also show the ugly side of actually living abroad. So many of the students here who go abroad for studies don't really know the reality of the day, the kind of standard of living, the cost of living, the conditions of living, how cities work there, how life works there in general. That's not shown. You just have this glorified version pushed through films and pushed through popular culture. So I think that really, really needs to change, because people just don't know better, people just don't know better. And that lack of education is unfortunately something that the government needs to address, that the Ministry for External Affairs needs to address through, awareness campaigns, to maybe even collaborating with popular culture, so that that message is sent across and people really know what they sign up for,
Okay.
and that they don't discount opportunities in their own countries before they latch onto this dream that just would dissipate as an illusion once they land there.
Fair enough. Gautam, so, taking forward the point that Rashmi was making, talking about ease of living, quality of life, better air quality, having beautiful streets to live in, a lot of greenery, and a beautiful environment to then allow for a quote-unquote a better life, your dream life, getting your dream jobs and so on and so forth. Has a certain percentage of the country been convinced that this falsified attraction and a dream that is built, or a facade that traveling to America or Canada, any of these countries, is actually quite detrimental to the existence of a person and his family, because it's a tough life out there?
It's this whole politics of migration. In the old days, people used to come from the village to the city, live here in miserable conditions, send money back, but write cheerful notes home and make cheerful phone calls on the STD saying that I'm fine, I'm doing very well, and I'm going to get, better and richer and so on. The same kind of thing happened when a lot of people went abroad. Now, when you go to places like the Gulf, it is true that your pay is much higher than it would be here, but your living conditions, if you are a blue-collar worker, are pretty miserable. And many are even killed by the heat and the dust and the lack of fortitude to handle all this. 40 degrees, 45 degrees in tin sheds, no air conditioning. It's a very tough life. Now you go to the West, similar things, but in the West, what many of the touts tell these people is that, don't worry, I've got my man on the inside over there. You land, you'll have to do some, misery jobs in the beginning, but we will introduce you to this, that, and the other, and soon you'll be moving ahead. And, so there's a prestige angle involved amongst these illiterate people who come from the villages and listen to the touts and sell everything in order to be able to go.
Yeah.
And the reality there, which hits them in the ego, they don't want to admit it. They carry on as best as they can.
Because it's a shame if you travel abroad and then you have to get back, and whichever small town or village you belong to, everybody is going to know about this, and everybody is going to laugh at you and make jokes at you.
Exactly. So you'd rather sleep on the floor or out in the rain and still pretend like it's all right. Now this is not just true of Indians; it's true of all people who migrate from one situation to another on the assumption of glamour and riches, and it doesn't really work out like that. So
Right.
The only thing is enforcement, because you see, when you want to believe something, no matter how, today I don't believe that people are ignorant because there is not enough information. Social media is very informative, Googling and so on. It's just that they want to believe a certain thing and they go for it, and that is that. And some of it is to do with the underground, the drug movements, the mules, the gangsterism, that you come here and then I send you back and this and that. So all of that is also part and parcel of this.
Agreed.
There's a dark underbelly. They're not all naive.
Absolutely. So, Joyita, criminal activities, terrorist activities then emanate out of this trafficking that takes place of humans, of Indians, of Indian nationals looking for better opportunities. Now, it's a twofold stratagem that the government will have to apply over here. One is about making the people more aware of the follies of traveling abroad with the dream that they have etched in their minds, and it is not, it's contrary to the actual situation on the ground. And the second issue that has to be dealt in a much more serious manner is about this criminal activities and terrorist activities that become more enhanced as there is this cross-border trafficking that takes place, as we've seen particularly between India and Canada.
Well, when you're talking about terrorist activities, obviously it's a major security threat, because you never know how these people, and if they are particularly coming from certain regions of India, the thing is, you see, and there are problems that are happening. So yes, it's a major threat. So it's basically a security issue which the government needs to look into. And when it comes to the human angle of it, there has to be awareness. Until and unless there has to be awareness, as I said, there has to be mindset change. Because you see, you cannot call these people at the same time that they don't know anything and they are like victims, because at least 27 people have sought asylum. On what ground? On what ground have they sought asylum? Political asylum, that we are being treated badly in this country. I know of cases where the Americans have given quote-unquote political asylum from somebody who is maybe a grocer in Punjab, saying that, you know, the Indian government is persecuting us. So the whole point is that why would the Indian government be persecuting and kind of a tiny grocer in Punjab? And the thing is, you see, the people who give them asylum, they also know that these people are lying, but they do it because they need menial people who will be working in menial jobs. So the whole point is that, you see, it is not just us. You have to tell them, you know, these so-called developed countries that, listen, do not take these people in, do not allow these people to take advantage of your quote-unquote gullibility by saying, oh, these people are being persecuted, so we have to give them asylum. Why were these 27 people given asylum by France? Why? You know, what is the reason? The thing is that the whole point is that when there are 400 people coming back, you know, why did these 27 people get assigned? Now, there has to be punitive action. Until and unless there is punitive action, this mindset change will not come in. Just throw the whole lot in jail and they will learn in 7 days and 1 month what happens.
Okay, all right. So, should there be a carrot and stick method that needs to be applied by the government of India? Sumit, quickly a response from you.
But you see, Meghaji, nothing works without carrot and stick. You cannot pursue people, you cannot persuade people, because the temptation is too high. Today, anybody can tell them you will become the king of Dubai. They will watch a Bollywood movie and they will believe that is possible. So how do you control these people? Unless and until there is a fallback, unless and until this has a penalty, there is a cause and effect. And there are countries, I'm trying to make this point what Joyita ji rightly said, there are countries who are keeping these black grey areas in their law so that they want these cheap labor to come in. They want people with no rights, no liberty, no naam pata to come and live, die and perish and keep on building their economies. That is what it is. How does America have such a porous border? I mean, if you want to get an American visa, they will literally screw one's happiness. But for immigrants, we have seen that there are around 2 lakh people who are entering America day to day, and there is nobody asking them any question. How is this happening? Because they know what they did. Why did Angela Merkel get 1 million people from the Middle East? She exactly knew she wants cheap labor. So when these things happen, there are also other countries and there are laws around that. Then what is a sanctuary state? We are hearing that San Francisco is a sanctuary state. That means if you enter there, nobody can touch you, can't be deported from there. Why do you declare sanctuary states? What is the concept of a sanctuary state? Matlab ye aisi jagah hai, once you land up here, you are the king here. Nobody can deport you from here. What is the concept of sanctuary states about? Because the laws are there. Now, if this same person ending in a sanctuary state, 100% illegal, cross the fence or a border or swim, whatever he did, then he has a child born there. The child is American. Because the child is American, so the parents can stay, they have to take care of the American. I mean, is hypocrisy of a law. It is not a one-sided problem. It's a global problem because these people also are equally responsible. As far as we are concerned, you know, if you jump the law, then law has to handle you accordingly. Because you jumped this regulation, you need to be put into a prison for some time.
Okay.
Then the things will come back to normal.
Okay. Rashmi, quickly a last comment from you with regards to this rampant problem Also, in wake of the very strict laws that have now been implemented by Canada, by United States of America and United Kingdom particularly, with regards to allowing for skilled laborers to come to the country, but making very stringent laws for you to become permanent citizens.
Well, Megha, I definitely feel like that's one way to drain India of its best minds and the rest of the world as well. And I think that is quite a questionable thing. And we need to, kind of protest that by coming up with better opportunities and schemes for our own people so that the best of our minds do not leave the country. Secondly, I do believe that the saving grace for Bharat is that we do not allow dual citizenship or multiple citizenship. So even people who do seek asylum as making utilization of this whole political games that happen abroad, and they also want to one up India by saying that people are being persecuted in India. At least the saving grace for India is that these people will have to give up their Indian passports when they do take up citizenship anywhere abroad, and then that reduces the problem and the burden that these people could become potentially in the future for Bharat. I think that's one of the biggest saving graces for Bharat.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I thank all of you for giving in your inputs on this sensitive matter, also a matter where India needs to be brought to concern about how to reduce these activities, these trafficking issues that have been detrimental to the country's growth, and also to tell the people, create awareness, and the brainwashing that has been happening for decades together that is leading to more and more of youth wanting to travel abroad. But the stark reality is then opening their eyes. But is it too late by then?
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.